Penguin Random House Audio presents Tom Brown's Guide to Healing the Earth by Tom Brown, Jr. with Randy Walker, Jr. Read for you by James Lurie, Fred Sanders, Stephen Graybill, and Hillary Huber. Acknowledgements. I would first like to thank Tom for giving me this opportunity to help him convey in this book Grandfather's vision of caring for and healing the earth. I would also like to thank Berkeley editors Tom Colgan and Grace House for their patience, concise attention to detail, and pointing out my mistakes. I appreciate all they have done on this project. My special thanks to Rachel Picore Valdez and Ryan DeRoy for the comments and corrections they provided on the manuscript. The three of us have been a team ever since we first met in a philosophy class over 15 years ago, but I never expected them to step up like they have in their help with this book. My gratitude and thanks also go out to all my sister and brother trackers around the world who carry Grandfather's vision in their hearts.
Forward. Guide to Healing the Earth is about Grandfather's vision that each individual person who chooses to do so can become an effective agent of change in restoring balance in natural environments disrupted and stressed by modern society. To Grandfather's way of thinking, each act of caretaking, no matter how small, makes a difference. The positive energy of each and every act of a caretaker is felt by the natural world. Each positive act sends a form of healing energy to the earth and environment around you in ever-widening circles. It is too overwhelming to try to address all the ways humankind is destroying and polluting our planet. The primary focus of this book is about what one person can do. I've presented numerous ways of how to be a caretaker in this book, so one can learn ways to interact with the natural world in a healing manner and create areas of balance through action. This book is to encourage each person who listens to it to embrace the fact that they can make a difference. You become part of the solution when embracing the role of a caretaker and healer of our Earth Mother. Grandfather led me to understand that nothing can move in nature without affecting everything else around any action, be it a crow's alarm call or the step of a fox in the brush. Grandfather's vision of leading people back to the earth was a fundamental part of his life. Throughout his 60 years of wandering throughout North and South America, and during the years I was fortunate enough to spend with him, he was constantly exploring new ways to interact with his environment, constantly experiencing awe at the simplest acts in nature. Grandfather would sit with a blueberry bush for hours, watching a single flower as it opened and bloomed. He would place a single grain of sand on the tip of his finger and hold it in the sunlight, marveling for hours at the different patterns that the sunlight revealed as it moved across the sky. This book is my attempt to convey Grandfather's philosophy of life and state of consciousness when acting as a caretaker and healer of the earth. Throughout the book, I'll include some of my stories, experiences, and specific examples of Grandfather's ways of caring for what he referred to as our Earth Mother. Grandfather, through his actions, taught me about approaching the natural world from the perspective of a caretaker. He continually encouraged Rick and me to expand our awareness in every environment. Grandfather taught us to see, on the one hand, the big picture, and on the other hand, the tiniest details of each ecosystem we encountered. The more Grandfather revealed to me about the part of his vision to heal and honor our Earth Mother, the more I grew to embrace his vision as a part of my own. I have spent the past 40 years teaching and sharing Grandfather's philosophies through my books, physical classes at the Tracker School, and online classes reaching students around the globe. Grandfather was a coyote teacher, which meant that I had to figure out things through experience. He never revealed every part of a skill or teaching. Only by gaining experience through practicing a particular skill many times did we discover the secrets kept hidden by Grandfather. He knew that discovering something on your own was the best teacher. Grandfather often said there is no such thing as failure, provided that you learn from it. If a skill came easily to me, I would still ask myself what I was missing, feeling that there had to be some aspect of the skill I was failing to see, because I often learned more from my failures than from my successes. Sometimes I wanted to experience failure, so I could then face the challenge of getting it right. To Grandfather's people, the southern Lipan Apache, the coyote was not seen as a symbol of a trickster, as numerous other southwestern Indian tribes did. Rather, they viewed the coyote as a revered teacher that held the secrets and wisdom of living with the earth. The coyote is able to adapt to almost any situation and environment. Coyotes are solitary animals at times, joining together in packs when a group of them is needed to maintain their survival. The coyote's adaptability enables them to adjust to the carrying capacity of each environment they move through. Their adaptability is a trait that has led to a dramatic increase in their numbers, even as man and his machines have constantly shrunk their hunting grounds over the past few hundred years. Coyotes have grown so populous that they now inhabit most of North America. Even Charles Darwin said that it wasn't the strongest of a species that survived, or the most intelligent. It was the members of the species that best adapted to changing environments that were the best propagators of the species. The coyote is a prime example of just that. Grandfather was not an easy teacher to have from his students' perspective. He seldom smiled or praised our results when working a skill. A neutral grunt from him upon examining a tool or craft that Rick or I was working on or had produced translated into high praise. He strived to keep us on our guard and to push our skills beyond competency to the point of complete mastery. If I produced a poorly flaked arrowhead, the look of scorn and disgust Grandfather would give me would first leave me with a feeling of shame that I had let him down. Then his look would spur me on to do a proper job the next time. With Grandfather, you had to be passionate about working on each skill. Grandfather also made us learn to be proficient with either hand in working a skill, sometimes blindfolded as well. We learned to do the bow drill left and right-handed. We had to be able to carve wood or flake arrowheads or stone tools with either hand. He said if one side becomes injured, the other side must be competent in the skill. This was in case we should find ourselves injured during a full survival situation. As a coyote teacher, Grandfather did not spell things out like our teachers in school. Skills were broken down into sections, which we learned through practice. As our experience grew, we became competent in each stage of the process. Grandfather would direct us to observe a particular animal when he was teaching a fundamental truth about an aspect of the natural world. For weeks we would track an animal, learn its habits, and observe it in nature. Only then, once we knew the animal, would Grandfather continue to reveal more of the lesson he had planned for us to learn. To Grandfather's people, the coyote was the keeper of the knowledge, a keeper of the wisdom. The coyote were the old man, the old woman of the wilderness. The Lipan held the coyote in the same regard as the Lakota held the spotted eagle, with a similar kind of reverence. During my nearly 11 years with Grandfather, the coyote teaching never stopped. It started from day one and continued right to the very end of our time together. Grandfather left me with so many things, so many teachings that were open-ended, and still to this day I have this laundry list of things I continue to experiment with. Grandfather would say something like, "Well, you can make this kind of water basket if you—" And then he'd let it go and wouldn't show me the weave or anything else. That kind of subtle motivation was one of those things where you experiment working a skill until you get it right. It's amazing how Grandfather had a way of keeping us not only passionate, but...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?